This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 647.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology.
Hello, everybody. This is Adam Silvey, host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. We have one next weekend, Campus Connect event. It is at the Universiti Putra in Malaysia, Serdang. I think I pronounced that properly. It is July 25th, a single-day event. So that's over at, again, it's a Campus Connect event. Clicking on this link, build real WordPress skills with mentors in an on-campus workshop. Join them, Faculty of Computer Science Information Center at the Universiti Putra, Malaysia. The site looks great, by the way. Whoever did this site, like it a lot. I really do. It's clean, it's concise, answers all the questions. So if you're in that part of the world, by all means, go check them out. All right, moving on. In the news, segment one, two things here. WordPress 7.0.2 is now available. This came out right before I started recording this, about a day before I recorded this. 7.0.2 release is a security release, one critical, one high severity security issue. Because it's a security release, this is from the news briefing here, it's recommended that you update your site immediately due to the severity. So check that out. And I guess they have enabled forced updates via the auto update system for sites running the affected versions. Yeah, so 7.0.2 is out. There you go. And also in the news, WordPress 7.1 Beta 1 is out for testing as well. The scheduled final release date for that is August 19th. So you can help test the betas and the RCs by downloading them in an offline, safe environment, not mission critical websites, and run through some tests. If you're a theme developer, plugin developer, if you have clients, etc., you're going to want to test that out. So that's due in about a month from when this episode drops. Yeah, wow, crazy. Time's flying. All right, that is it in the news. Moving on to segment two. It's been 8 more weeks, so it's time again for a listener Q&A episode. We have 5 questions this week, starting with what is loop engineering? This came in anonymously. So it's funny, I actually heard a podcast about this almost at the same time this came in, and doing some research to kind of answer it the best I can. Loop engineering is a very new AI term. Sounds more complicated than it really is. Most of us currently use AI by giving it a prompt, reviewing what it produces, and asking it to make changes. And that continuing back and forth is till we get what we want. That itself is loop engineering. It takes that repetitive process and builds it into the system itself. So instead of telling an AI cogent, build this feature, and then manually ask it to test the feature, find problems, fix them, you create a loop. The agent builds something, tests it, reviews the results, fixes what failed, and repeats that process until it reaches a defined goal. So in other words, you're no longer writing every individual prompt. You're designing a process that generates the next prompt or action automatically for you. So a WordPress example for this might be asking an AI agent to build a plugin, install it in a test environment, run a set of checks, look for errors, fix those errors, and repeat until everything passes. And now that sounds great, and it can be incredibly useful, but the quality of the loop here really still depends on the goal and the guardrails that you give it. If you tell AI to optimize the wrong thing, it may become extremely efficient at producing the wrong result. So keep that in mind. That's the caveat. So again, it can do a lot, but you have to give it the guardrails. And I recommend that all the time on a weekly basis to many people who reach out to me regarding these AI tools. So keep that in mind. All right, this next question came in from Doug, and this was in my inbox, in my forums when people submitted questions on the website for, I think I missed it 8 weeks ago. I just barely missed it. I don't know what I thought, whatever. Anyway, so Doug wrote in, he says, love your show and commitment to it. I've been listening for a long time and still learn something regularly. I heard your question and answer segment the other day, so it was about 8 weeks ago, I guess, maybe the one before. And it sparked a question in my mind when you were answering a question about how many plugins are too many. I have Jetpack, the free version, loaded on our site, but it is redundant to many other plugins we have. I want to remove it and wonder if you had any thoughts on what might be if that's a bad idea. Thanks, Doug. All right, so first of all, Doug, thank you for the kind words and for listening for so long. Honestly, if Jetpack is redundant because you already have the other plugins that handle everything you need, there probably isn't a strong reason to keep it, honestly. I've said before that the raw number of plugins matter less than what those plugins are doing. But keeping an unnecessary plugin active just still means another piece of software to update, monitor, and potentially troubleshoot. So before removing Jetpack, I would first make a list of the Jetpack features currently active on the site, because Jetpack is not just one feature. It's a collection of all those things that it offers. You might be using it for stats, the downtime monitoring, brute force protection, what else? Oh, the image acceleration, social sharing, subscriptions, et cetera, et cetera. So without realizing it, that you're using it for that. So make sure another plugin your hosting provider or an outside service is replacing is something you actually don't already rely on, if that makes sense. So also, I would pay particular attention to the Jetpack stats and subscriptions. Removing Jetpack does not erase your posts or pages, but you could lose access to certain Jetpack connected services or some of that historical information through your WordPress dashboard. And that is what people like to see on the back end. As owners, we like to see that, right? So if people subscribe to your posts through Jetpack, you'll want to plan for the subscribers before disconnecting it. So my recommendation over here would be make a full backup, deactivate Jetpack, and then test the website thoroughly. Check the front end, the forms, the images, the sharing, the buttons, related posts, all those things that Jetpack may have touched. Ideally, do this on a staging site. I mean, I think that's always the best bet. If everything continues to work properly, leave it deactivated for a few days before you delete it. So there's that. So, one last thing, a small detail. If you want to completely separate the website from WordPress.com, disconnecting the site through the Jetpack connection settings before deleting the plugin. That makes sense? So again, if you want to completely separate the website from WordPress, disconnect the site through Jetpack connections before you delete the plugin. Okay. I read that in the Jetpack documentation for you as well. So lastly, it's not a terrible idea to remove it. Just don't treat it as a single purpose plugin because there's a lot of things going on there. So I hope that helps you make a decision in a roundabout way. Okay. Question 3, this was sent in by Jacqueline. I often see hosting companies advertise VPS, bare metal, and managed hosting. What is the actual difference, and which one should a typical WordPress site use? Jacqueline, these terms are confusing, and they never have really changed much, but because they don't do the same part of hosting, they're a little they describe things that are different. So to help you with that is VPS and bare metal describe the type of server you're getting. Managed describes who is responsible for operating and maintaining it. So a VPS, virtual private server, is a virtual environment running on a larger physical server. The physical machine may contain several VPS accounts, but each has its own allocated resources and its own operating system. So you get more control and generally more consistent resources than basic shared hosting without paying for an entire physical server. So bare metal means you're renting the entire physical server. Like you actually you're renting that box. There's no virtualization layer dividing that machine amongst several customers. You get maximum control, predictable performance, and access to all the hardware's resources. So it also costs more and you're responsible for all of it. So that's something maybe more powerful than a normal WordPress website needs. And then here, managed hosting means the hosting company handles some or most of the technical work, depending on that provider and the plan. That may include server configs, security, backups, updates, caching, performance optimizations, monitoring, and support. Managed WordPress hosting is specifically configured around WordPress. It's usually the most practical option for site owners who don't want to become part-time server admins. So just as an FYI, I have a mixture of both of those. I don't have bare metal. I don't rent bare metal. I have managed hosting that I oversee, but it also helps me. And I also have another server where it's shared. It's much lower scale. It costs a lot less, and it's more up to me to manage things there as well. So I hope that helps you make a decision moving forward. All right, question 4 by Jennifer. I occasionally see the message about WP-Cron in plugins or my hosting dashboard. What does it do, and should I be worried about it? Okay, it's a good question. Thanks, Jennifer. So WP-Cron is WordPress's way of handling scheduled tasks. It helps WordPress publish scheduled posts, send certain emails, run plugin maintenance items, process recurring jobs. all the things that are supposed to happen at a certain particular time. It is slightly confusing because WP-Cron is not a traditional server cron job. By default, WordPress checks for scheduled work when someone visits the website. If the site has very little traffic, a scheduled post or background task might run late because nobody visited at that exact time that was supposed to happen. On a very busy site, WordPress may check too frequently and create unnecessary server activity. So, for normal websites, the default system works perfectly and doesn't need to be changed. But for high traffic sites, like an e-commerce store, a membership site, it can be better to disable the default visitor triggered behavior and use real server cron jobs that calls WordPress on predictable schedules, if that makes sense. So answer is this: you do not need to be worried about this at all because you see WP-Cron mentioned. It's normal. It's an important part of WordPress. But if scheduled posts are being missed, automated emails are being delayed, or a plugin reports overdue scheduled actions, I would look at WP-Cron as a first place of maybe an error log. So I think that answers that question for you. Okay. All right, and the last question of the day, question 5. This is by Anne. I would love to hear how you are using AI recently. Anything cool to share? Oh, okay, yeah, this is fine. I've been using it a lot lately in single-use plugin development, meaning I have a specific itch I need to scratch, and I kind of just do that and try to find something that's already out there. I just write my own, and I say write, I mean vibe code, use the AI tools. Most recently, I used it to create a gravity form add-on. Originally, I wanted to do it in Functions PHP. I said, no, I want this as a single-use plugin, just easier to maintain. And I'm actually going to update it and add some functionality to it, some settings. But I wanted to block submissions into a form that are in different character language sets. They're spam. I get I get a handful of them over on my adamsilver.com website using Russian letters. It's pure spam. I don't need to see those. So I have a way now to make it that if it's not in English, you can't submit it, period. It just won't even submit. It won't come to me. So, if somebody really wants to reach me, it's got to be English. So I can block Cyrillic. I think it's Cyrillic characters. So that was pretty cool. So I think that was fun. So yeah. And I'm still using Codex. And actually in the last 2 weeks, Codex, ChatGPT, and Atlas all kind of merged and coalesced into one application. So ChatGPT was my first go-to, and then Atlas came out, which is the web browser, which I was never really using, and then Codex, which I love, gives me computer control. It all got merged into one thing. So it took a little bit to get used to. I'm still working out a few little kinks on my system and my workflow, but it's working really well. So there you go. Yeah, that's what I've been using AI for most recently is single-use plugins for my own needs. So, all right, that is it for this week on that. Moving on to segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week I want to mention a website. It is part of the EFF. It's Surveillance Self-Defense. It's over at ssd.eff.org. It's tips, tools, and how-tos for safer online communication. It's a project of the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation. I think it's important that we all pay attention to what's going on in our lives in the world these days in surveillance, and with the flock camera fiascos, if you will. So I just wanted to share this out there as well. So check that out. It's free, and then it's a link over in the show notes. Like I said, it's over at ssd.eff.org. Check that out. All right, that's it for this week. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email, and you'll get featured on the episode in 8 weeks from now. Adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. Ways to do that on the site. If you want to sponsor the show, there's a form to fill out. As long as it's not in Russian, I'll get it. Do that, and I'll get right back to you. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.